Thank you very much for giving me a chance to present my book with the title, For They Don't Know What They Are Doing. I would like to start to give a little synopsis of the book. Most people today are inundated with news from the press, from television, and from the internet. It seems that the problem in the world within their own countries are getting bigger and bigger, and that the politicians are unable to solve them. They seem to lack focus on the common good of all citizens. They are only interested in their own well-being and the group they pretend to represent. The book chose to change the election process of politicians and assure that only politicians with the proper qualifications will be allowed to run for office. Hopefully, this can avoid the catastrophic results of the doings of bad politicians, as we have seen so often in the past. What inspired me to write the book? Periodically, a group of my friends would meet in the so-called Horrigan in the city of Vienna, the capital of Austria. After a few glasses of wine, usually politics were discussed. The discontent with the action of politicians became obvious. Unfortunately, no solutions were presented which were accepted by most of us. So I decided to write a book on this subject, and voila, here it is. What was the research like for this book? I went back to the times when the scripts were developed. So I started from the pharaohs of Egypt to move to the high cultures of Mesopotamia, of China, of Japan, and of the Americas and Europe. Then I studied the highly known personalities again, from Alexander of Macedonia to our leaders of today. It took me 2 years to finish the studies and another year to write the book. What are the reforms that I propose to improve the world of politics? The first one is, we have to develop a clear catalog to define the qualifications of politicians. These have to include all bodies of politicians, starting from the smallest municipalities to the biggest countries and multinational bodies such as the UN. The catalogue of qualifications have to become part of the constitutions of all these political bodies. The second one is, even though we have developed these catalogues of qualifications, we should institute firm term limits for all politicians. These will help to avoid catastrophic results which have occurred again and again in the history of mankind. Typically, the Roman democracy had term limits of 1 year for the consuls, which is true for the presidents of Switzerland of our times as well. Some of these rules allowed the re-election for 1 or 2 times. What would you hope the readers take away after reading the book? I hope that they would feel empowered to change the selection process to select our political leaders in the future. This means as well they stop complaining about the qualifications of our leaders, but instead start to think about how they can influence the existing ways how these leaders come into power. What are a couple of books I have read in the recently for love? Sorry, I have to say these books are German originals. I also read books as well in English and Spanish to avoid losing content by translation. These 2 books are, one was written by Stefan Zweig, the Schachnovelle. It is a short little book, but so well written that you cannot put it down before finishing it. The second one is written by Florian Illies, Wenn die Sonne untergeht. He describes the forced exile of Thomas Mann and his family from Germany by the Nazi regime, from Munich to Arosa, Switzerland, and Sanary in southern France. This book is very well written and the story has great historical value. Is there anything else I want you to know about my book? I'm planning to follow up the book with one more, covering the same subject but concentrating less on the explanation of the problem but more on the way how to solve it. I'd like to finish by reading a small section of the book. This talks about Abraham Lincoln. If we compare Abraham Lincoln with the politicians described so far, he is the great exception, namely in personality, who clearly and unambiguously embodies the American dream. He was a man from a simple, almost poor background who was able to work his way up through the complex American political system. Largely a self-taught man with great success, and did not succumb to the temptations of power, either personally or professionally. Abraham Lincoln was self-educated and possessed all the skills of character to nurture and increase the common good of all citizens under very, very difficult conditions. Abraham Lincoln can rightly be regarded as a shining light among the personalities already considered and those who have yet to follow.